Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcasting to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, the United States describes as troubling an Israeli regulations bill, which was approved by Israel's ministerial committee earlier this week, which seeks to retroactively legalize Israeli construction built on what the court defines as privately owned Palestinian lands. Muslim Knesset members recite a Muslim call for prayer at the parliament session after the Israeli government's ministerial committee approves a bill to limit the volume of mosques during their call to prayer across the country. The largest and brightest full moon in nearly 7 decades shone over the old city of Jerusalem last night, as the full moon came nearer to Earth than any time since 1948. Israel's High Court of Justice rejected a request submitted by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government to extend a deadline for the evacuation of the illegal Jewish outpost of Omona. The court wrote in its ruling that the request by the government, which is based mostly on considerations that have already been taken into consideration in the original ruling, constitutes in effect an attempt to change the decision made, a step which the court said it cannot accept. In December of 2014, then Supreme Court President Asher Gunis ruled that homes built in Omona were constructed on private Palestinian land and shall be demolished within 2 years, with evacuation dates set for the 25th of December 2016. The state requested last month to postpone the evacuation to allow time to examine alternative solutions for its residents. In its petition, the state claims it is seeking to carry out the evacuation peacefully and without incidents, but that it is unable to provide alternative living solutions for residents within the next 2 months. The state emphasized that if the court rejects the request, however, it will be prepared to carry out the evacuation by the date set in its ruling. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the Omona situation at a meeting of his Likud faction, but refused to comment on the High Court's decision. Netanyahu stressed that the government is aware of the distress of Omona's residents and that the government is acting in different manners to resolve the problem. One of the options to resolve this issue at hand is by pushing forward the regulation bill, which seeks to retroactively legalize Israeli construction built on what the court defines as privately owned Palestinian lands, so long they were built with no intention of breaking the law, while providing the landowners with generous compensation. The United States, however, described as troubling the regulations bill, which was approved by Israel's ministerial committee earlier this week, and said it hoped the law does not pass.
We're deeply concerned about the advancement of legislation that would allow for the legalization of illegal Israeli outposts located on private Palestinian land. Israel's own Attorney General has reportedly expressed serious concerns about the constitutionality of the proposed legislation. If this law were enacted, it could pave the way for the legalization of dozens of illegal outposts deep in the West Bank. This would represent an unprecedented and troubling step that's inconsistent with prior Israeli legal opinion and also break long-standing Israeli policy of not building on private Palestinian land. Our policy, as you know, on settlements is clear. We believe they are corrosive to the cause of peace. This legislation would be a dramatic advancement of the settlement enterprise, which is already gravely endangering the prospects for a two-state solution. This only makes clear the choice Israel faces between building more settlements and preserving the possibility of peace. I would note we understand this legislation has several more steps to go before it's passed. We hope it does not become law.
Meanwhile, residents of the West Bank settlement of Omona called for an emergency gathering last night, during which they appealed directly to Prime Minister Netanyahu to push forward the regulation bill that would legalize their settlement and revoke the High Court's decision to evacuate them from their homes. Tamar Nivri, a resident of Omona for nearly 20 years, warned in an interview to Israeli media that there would be violence against IDF soldiers should they come to remove the outpost. Nivri stressed that there are orders and laws, and there is reason and basic human morality. He added that in the state of Israel, it is inconceivable for Jews to be expelled from their land. Nevertheless, pro-Omona campaign leader Avichai Boaron said in response that the settlers' leadership will act to ensure that things will not spill over into violence. Now to another matter, Muslim Knesset members took advantage of a discussion in the parliament's plenum regarding a bill to limit the volume of mosques during their call to prayer. The Arab Knesset members protested the bill by reciting the Muslim call to prayer in front of their fellow lawmakers.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة
The bill was passed 2 days ago, banning mosques from broadcasting the Muslim call to prayer via loudspeakers installed on the minarets of mosques, a bill which was submitted after numerous complaints from residents of various cities regarding the unreasonable volume mosques set to call Muslim worshippers to prayer. The call to prayer occurs at approximately 4 or 5 in the morning every day, thus disturbing the sleep of non-Muslim residents. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu praised during a meeting of his Likud faction the approval of the bill and announced that he would not let the sponsors of the bill dilute it and render it empty of content. Now to Belgium, where EU foreign ministers gathered in Brussels for an exchange of views on the future of the Eastern Partnership, as well as discussions on Turkey, Syria, and Iran. On the latter, ministers said they would continue pushing to restore ties with the Islamic Republic, Israel's arch-enemy, in line with last year's nuclear agreement with Tehran, which US President-elect Donald Trump has said he would overturn. The European Union stressed, however, that the international community must upkeep the Iran agreement. Even though rapprochement between Brussels and Tehran was recorded on several fronts, the European alliance has failed to enroll Tehran's cooperation on Syria, where Iran is fighting on behalf of Syrian President Bashar Assad against Western-backed rebels. Another important point to mention is the fact that the Islamic Republic is scheduled to hold presidential elections in May, and the incumbent Hassan Rouhani, whom EU diplomats expect to stay on for a second term, is under pressure to show tangible results of pursuing a tentative rapprochement with the West. Now back to Jerusalem, where the largest and brightest full moon in nearly 7 decades shone over the ancient city, as the sky over Jerusalem's city walls was lit shortly after the so-called supermoon appeared behind a veil of thin clouds. According to astronomers, the full moon came nearer to Earth than at any time since 1948. The moon's distance from Earth varies because it is in an egg-shaped, not circular orbit around the planet. Astronomers said the next opportunity to see a full moon as close to Earth as last night will be in 2034. Thank you for watching us. You can also watch us at TV7israelnews.com or TV7.fi. For any comments, please send your emails to israelnews@tv7.fi. For more updates from Israel and the region, please join our Facebook page at TV7 Israel News. Praying for the peace of Israel and the peace of Jerusalem. Jonathan Hassan, have an Erev Tov, and we will see you again tomorrow at the same time.
In order to donate to TV7 Israel News, please follow these simple steps. First, press the Donate logo, located at the bottom left side of TV7 Israel News Facebook page, or on the Donate tab at the head of the page. Then insert the amount you'd like to donate, and fill in your credit card information. Just like this. And press Review Donation and continue. After reviewing your donation details, please press Donate to finalize your donation. That's it! Your donation is now complete, and an email with your donation details has been sent to your email address. You can also print your donation receipt by pressing the link here. Thank you for supporting TV7 Israel News.